I've been to these events, I'm a fan of the show, and I know that sometimes when I'm in that audience, I'm like, God, why aren't they asking my questions? So what I did was I sent out emails on Twitter and to my website and had a lot of people send me in questions for you guys tonight. So that's what I'll probably be doing most of.
You actually send a tweet out on Twitter.
I know. I sent a tweet out on Twitter.
Hey,
people
like
DM me, and we retweeted what?
I was just saying, it's like the writer's room with
Yeah.
Carlton correcting.
So I got a bunch of great questions, and I got a bunch of bad questions. So I'm going to give you my favorite questions that I'm not going to ask you tonight. Number one, ask those writer dudes, why aren't there any monkeys on that island? We've all thought it. Finally, someone asked it.
No, there are. There are lots of monkeys, but these guys keep cutting them out.
To be fair, they're apes. It's Orangutan, and his name is Jupe.
This is one that everyone's been asking too. Will we finally get a musical episode? If so, will there be a rap duet between Ben and Locke?
Yeah.
This is a little bit complicated. It goes, which house would the sorting hat from Harry Potter place each one of the characters into, and why? Save that one for the DVD.
Yeah.
Is the show's entire existence based on the same social construct as a black and white cookie? And then finally, Fresno Gandalf wrote, what's the deal with the island? So, just some questions.
Thanks.
Yeah, right. So obviously you guys are coming now to the end of the entire show. I've watched enough panels, I've seen enough interviews, I know that you're not going to tell us the ending. So I'm not even going to ask that. But what I will kind of ask is, are you in the middle of writing the final episode right now, or is it written? Where are we at in the final 3 episodes?
We're writing the finale right now.
Right now?
Yeah. Not right now, but...
Adam, Eddie, and Liz just turned in their draft, which is going to be what we shoot for the penultimate episode of the show. So, and we're, as a collective, starting to break the finale. Started last week, and we'll be actually start writing it this week.
So now, my question is, like, obviously you guys have talked about how you know where the show is going and stuff like that. Now, at this stage of the game, are you guys still open to new ideas?
This is a backdoor pitch, isn't it, Paul?
Absolutely.
You've got an idea, don't you?
I have, yeah. No, but is there any room for, if a great idea has now come up in the last couple of weeks, you're like, oh yeah, we got to use that, or is it pretty much locked in? Like, how firm is the writing of these last 3?
We have an architecture for the end of the show, but it's certainly on a character level, there's room for discovery as we throw our characters together and we find those scenes as we write them. I mean, there's a destination that we're getting to, but we actually have, in the working out of the story and the writing of the finale, there will definitely be things that we will discover in moments. I mean, I would say they'd be more like moments rather than sort of seismic changes in our game plan.
And I think what's really cool about the process, certainly in the writer's room, is it functions in a lot of ways more like a jury room than it does, it's basically, at any given time,
Or a star chamber.
Yeah. Suddenly you're Henry fucking Fonda and you're trying to, make your case for something, but we all have different opinions about things, and we've had ideas about what we're going to do in the finale, some of them for over, 3 or 4 years, but you get there and you go, okay, is this still fair? I know it sounded like a good idea back then and we've been working towards it, but actually, now that we're here, is it fair? Have we earned it? Right. And, and that's what the discussion becomes. We try to become fans, and, every idea is challenged, over and over again, and that's what makes the show so special, I think.
So now, to that point, you say the Star Chamber, what's the demeanor right now in the writing room? Like, do you feel a pressure? It's like, oh shit, we don't want to go out on a bad note. Like, I mean, what are you guys feeling?
Well, I'd say Friday was a tough day.
It's very relaxed.
Yes. Listen, season 1 and season 2, people are like, are you going to answer this? Are you going to tell me? Are you going to show the smoke monster again? Now the thing I get most of all is just don't screw it up.
Yeah.
Right.
So I find I would rather go back to answering how they got to Australia than not screwing it up.
We're all counting on you, Eddie.
They're always monkeys.
Well, now I have a question again, just to the writing process of the show. So now that you know where the show is going and it's at their final episodes, are there plot lines that you always wanted to kind of fulfill that you didn't get a chance to? Characters, backstories that you're like, oh, we didn't have a time for that. A mystery that maybe is left, unexplained that you did know the answer to. Is there anything?
Yeah, I mean,
any rejected things?
Well, there's a lot of little questions that unfortunately we just don't have time to answer in the amount of time we have left, and ultimately with the way we look at it is that if the characters don't care about that question, then we as storytellers don't care about that question. So for instance, we're not going to stop in the finale and explain who the economist was who Saeed shot on the golf course.
Right, but to that, exactly, but to that point, is there something that you just couldn't fit in that you were like, it doesn't play into a larger, it's not like revealing anything major, but just maybe a character that you never really got to do just because of time's sake. Is there anything?
You mean like Frogurt?
Yeah. These guys are responsible for Frogurt here.
I mean, do I want to Frogurt sideways this year? Yeah. Is that going to happen? No. Did Damon and Carlton tell me if I bring it up again, I have to leave? Yes. That's all true.
I think what ends up happening is we have, we call it the iceberg, and the show that you're watching is the iceberg that's above the waterline, but we have to talk a lot about the iceberg that you can't see, and sometimes that stuff is really cool and it makes it into the show. And you go, wow, that's so cool that we should make an episode out of it. And sometimes you're like, it's just going to end up being a scene. So if you're wondering like what the answer to a mystery is, sometimes all a character has to do is ask and say like, hey Lapidus, why is it that you didn't end up flying the plane? And he can either answer the question or you can whoosh and do a whole episode about it. Right. And that's.
Don't want to. Not good.
Yeah, Lapidus is best with direct. But but it's more a choice for us of how to tell the story than it is whether or not to tell it at all. And now that we're breaking the finale, we're not at all having the experience of, oh my God, we forgot to do this. We're big fans of the show Top Chef, and what those guys all run through Whole Foods, and they have to pull all this. They have an hour to pull all this food out. So they have to get stuff that they might not use in the dish.
Right.
And when they get into the kitchen, then they have to decide whether or not they're going to use it. Our process is kind of the same.
I like it. I like Top Chef metaphors. I'll always go for it.
Yeah.
Just go with it, for God's sake.
And now,
I never talk in metaphors.